Hey everybody, this is an answer to quite a few questions and asks I've had in my channel about an add-on video. So let's get straight into it. I use add-ons to make the screen that I'm working with appear as small and minimalist as possible. So right off the bat I use grid to hide everything other than the very basic information for RAID frames. I use an add-on on top of grid called GCL layouts that lets me sort the players and the RAID groups and so on. Over here on the top right I use Citrina buff frames, and that lets me move the buff display, stop the silly consolidated buffs that Blizzard now offer. I don't really like that at all. Make them nice and small and neat and row them up exactly where I want them. I do have button bars, but I hide them all. I'm sure you've seen that from my videos. I think that it makes for a much cleaner video. People want to see the action, not you pressing keys and the button bars cluttering up the display. So I use Bartender 4 to hide all of those button bars, and when I just mouse over the one on the right you can see I use those as well. Another mod I use in Battlegrounds sometimes, particularly rated Battlegrounds, is something called Battleground Targets. I'm sure you've seen that in a few videos. Very, very useful. Shows you the guild groups, the number of healers, who's holding the flag, and who's targeting who, which is pretty good. For arenas, I use Gladius. I use it to help me with diminishing return monitoring, which I find quite difficult without Gladius. I also use Gladius loss SA for telling me what's happening. My chat I control using Pratt. I generally set the fading to as quickly faded as possible. I often hide my chat. I also use a Unitframe mod called Stuff, that's STUF. Stuff I prefer to all of the other ones. I find it much faster and easier to set up, and it lets me pretty much change anything I want. And you can see that it's got an awful lot of options. It takes you a little while to get used to how to set this up, but once you're used to it, you can get a display for all of your characters that's really, really neat. Okay, what else have we got? Let's have a look at my add-ons that I've got in my add-on control panel. So this mod here is called add-on control panel, and it lets me look at the add-ons and disable and enable them in-game without having to log out and log on. So another one I've got is my bags. This is called BagNone. It lets me consolidate all my bags into one large bag, which is really nice. I use Chinchilla Minimap, and that's primarily to turn the minimap off because I just don't like it. I use Button Facade, which allows me to skin things like my Citrina buff frames, and you can see I use Apathy up here, which is one of the skins. The Blizzard default, again, I don't really like, but I much prefer Apathy. It's a bit glossier and smaller and simpler, which is good. What else have we got? Okay. Yes, Doom Cooldown Plus. This is just a cooldown tracker, and if I press something like Titus Fury, we'll see in 30 seconds, I'll carry on going through the add-ons, it flashes up on the screen an icon to show me that it's ready to use again, so I don't have to remember when it's available. I use Good Damage Font 2, which changes the in-game damage font to something nice and large. I mentioned Gladiator Loss SA, which tells me verbally when something's being used by the enemy. Gladius we've seen. Grizzly Shared Media is just a texture pack, so I can texture things. Item Rack is pretty cool. If I want to change an item, it just presents it as a little icon menu like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, High Blizzard raid frames you can see there. Omni CC that I've just clicked on. If I click on one of these buffs that I don't use very often, you can see that it just puts a little timer there. Power Auras Classic. This is very cool. I get asked about this a lot. Power Auras Classic I use for in-game timers and for tracking combo points, and it's this little paw print that you can see down here. You enable it by saying combo point activation, and you can see how to use it pretty easily. Just as I click through all of these, you can see that it will only display when I have the number of combo points that's in that list, and it's separated by a / if you're wondering. So it's 1/2/3/4, for example, will display that when you've got all of those combo point types. These are the timers. You can see that it's make sure you click Cast by Me for activation, especially if there's another Feral Druid around, and you can see all of my different timers. Okay. Recounts used in there as well if you want to see the damage you've done. We've gone through Citrina buff frames, stuff unit frames. It's pretty cool. Tidy plates is brilliant. I use the neon theme, not the others. Tip tack I use just to turn off my tooltip. I don't want it displayed because I know what I'm looking at. And that's pretty much it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to go through details, but you can figure it out pretty easily yourself. Cheers now. Bye.